We about to do some more work on old big skiffy today?
You damn skiffy. We got the hatch lid. We've got some cup holders, which we know Mike will love. New steering bracket. So we need to get a look over here. We can see we've got, this is the old hole from where we pulled the steering out before, and the other steering box was locked up, so we figured we'd go ahead and get it replaced. So we've got this. You can see that the fiberglass is broke here, so we're gonna put a layer down, and the guys over at King Crab Repair over in New Smyrna Beach, they sold us this remnant piece of Coosa they had for 30 bucks. So I was like, I can't beat that, you know, it's better than buying a whole piece, and we didn't need a whole piece, and this doesn't need that much more strength added to it. We just need a little bit. And we got some 1708 that we'll put on there too, so that'll give us some strength, some structural integrity there. But we're gonna go ahead and get all of these holes cut for these and get everything ready to go, because as you can see here, if you want to zoom in on this, Jeff, you can see we've got our cigarette lighter plug, which is just a USB power point, but we've got all the different things labeled out, and we've kind of changed that a little bit. That was our preliminary, but we've got a kind of an idea as to what we're going to make for our electrical panel, and we're going to make one of those nice ones, you know, to where it's got backlit, and you're going to be able to see every single thing on there. So when you turn the nav lights on, the backlighting will come on, and you'll be able to see that at any point when we're cruising at night, because obviously we do a lot of shrimping, we do a lot of flounder gigging, we're out at night a lot. So we'll show here later in the video, we'll show getting this area under here prepped, and we already cut all that out on one of the previous videos. We already got all that wood out of there. We just need to spruce it up and get the rest of that little bit of layer off and get ready to lay some fiberglass in, and we'll put a layer of fiberglass, we'll do our Coosa, and then we'll put another layer over it and kind of seal all that in there. But on the front here, if you come look, we got rid of the back deck, and in getting rid of the back deck, we now have this extra hatch access lid, right? So we said this will fit perfectly right here, and we're taking the fuel tank that was underneath here, and we're going to move it to the back of the boat, and the battery was already in the back of the boat, so we're just going to leave it back there. But we thought to ourselves, instead of, like, we always have backpacks of things and whatnot, like snacks and dry clothes and towels and everything like that, so it always ends up getting wet. The bag gets wet, we have to dry the bags out when we get home. It's always a mess. So we always have to move the bag. We'll have to pick it up off the floor and put it up onto the seat or onto the deck or onto the back deck when we had it. But now we're gonna be short just a little bit of space of like being able to get stuff off the bottom of the boat. So when we bring a cast net in and there's water in the floor, or whatever happens, we get a little water in the floor, we don't want our bags getting wet. So our idea was put our access hatch in, have this where it opens up, and then get ourselves some sort of an elevated crate to where any water that runs down and around and runs in from the backside, it's not going to get to any of our stuff, so we'll be able to keep everything dry. So this would be a nice easy access hatch, and we'll have this here, and we've got a cushion that goes across here anyway, so that whenever anybody's riding, you know, they'll be on that cushion. That'll help to not put so much onto this hatch. But this is a pretty sturdy hatch. I'm pretty sure that you could stand on this. I could stand on this, all 260 pounds on me, and I don't think it would bend. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna show you how to cut these hatches in. We're gonna show you, we're gonna get our hole cutter out, to the little tool again, our Malco hole cutter, so that way we can cut us a nice perfectly round hole. So we wanted to show you all this because there was a lot of view time where it looked like people were going back and watching us cut the hole so that they could see what was going on there when we were talking about this hole cutter before. So I wanted to go a little more in depth. But you can see, like right here, there's a 3, there's a 4, there's a 5. This is your inch side. You can see it says inch right over here. So that spot right there, that's 3 5/8. So we're gonna go just a touch above that. And that way we can try and fit these things in here nice and tight. These are like 3 5/8 to the outside here, 3 3/4 close. So I'd say they're probably, if we got it at 11/16, it's gonna be a nice tight fit. So that way when we glue it in, and it's just there. But what you gotta do is you gotta get that thing set, and then you lock it down here. And when we lock it down, we just snug it up there. Now you got your bit here. This is the same size hole for this. So you use that. You got, see, I got my cross mark there, right? So I got my center of my hole. So there's the center of my hole. So when I go to do this, I just put that pin down into that hole. I drill down in. And if you come around here, Jeff, I'll show you. You can see, I mean, it's cutting a nice, perfect hole. It's perfectly round. So that way when we get done with this, we're gonna have a perfectly round hole. And I don't think there's anybody here that's gonna say that that tool doesn't work better than a hole saw, because I know that these new brushless drills, they've got a lot of power, and I can't tell you how many times I've had a hole saw lock up on something and twist that drill and twist my wrist. So we don't have that problem here, but we can see that thing fits in there. It's perfect. So that way when we glue it in, it's gonna be just right. It's gonna have a little bit of glue around the inside and be good to go. So we're gonna move on, we're gonna cut this other one. And the reason why we decided to put these here and here is because we wanted to get rid of this hole. And you can see there's dry fibers there, you know, where it's had a little bit of the gel coat is cracked, the resin is cracked, and it's just got hairs. So we want to get rid of that, because when we go to put our depth finder back on, we want to do it nice. We'll pop a nice hole, we'll put a grommet in there just to where it looks really good. But we're going to get back to cutting this one, and then we're going to lay that hole out for that hatch, and we'll come right back. So as you guys can see, we got our 4 corners cut out, and you know, we use the hole cutter for when we're going through thin wood and just fiberglass. Well, we've got this was obviously where we needed a hole saw, so we got that bit of wood. Now don't forget, anytime we open up any wood, we got to seal it back off. So on these corners here, we should fit somewhat snug. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut just a little bit to the outside of this line, just to give us enough room to put some resin in there and put 1 layer of fiberglass over it, just to seal that wood back in there. So once we get this hole cut out, we're gonna use a skill saw here, and I'm gonna run this thing across here. So as you guys can see, we got the latch lid in there. We went to the store, got us some screws, so that way they don't stick through the bottom here. And you can see we got us a gap around there so that we can get us some fiberglass in there. And I got to open up the top and the bottom a little bit more, but the sides we should be fairly close on. Should be able to get that going. But what I was going to show you here is, if you look at this, you can see it maybe a little bit better right here. This line right here, it's not a straight angle, it's not a 90. So I'm trying to figure out how I was going to measure that out, and the piece we've got from this edge here to that edge up there is only 12 inches, but the piece we have is 10 3/4 of the Coosa board. So I want to make sure that we get those like a nice fit in there, and on the top side and bottom side we can fill that with a little bit of peanut butter and then put some fiberglass to it, and that way we can have our fiberglass come down and bond. But you can also see our cup holders in there, nice and tightly fit in there. It's perfect. So I came over here to my workbench, and we got it measured out that from this bottom edge here up to this top edge here, we measured out that's 12 inches from there to there. So we made us a center line. So from this edge here to this edge here is 24 inches, and this to this was 21.5. So that way we measured off of each side of the center line, and we can make this a perfectly straight angle to match what the console already does. Now when we put our speed square on here and we get that angle just right, let's see, let's zoom in on that myself. Yeah, you come over here and you can see it's a 7-degree angle. So kind of looks like that. That's where our start of our figuring was. But now when we go to cut this, we're going to go lay it in, and you'll see that it's going to fit just right, and then we'll have a little bit of a gap on the top and bottom that we can allow fiberglass to go to that bare fiberglass, and we won't have to get so much into the gel coat to get that finished up. So we're gonna get this cut. We got the Coosa cut, it's in. Those angles on the sides, they match up perfectly. So we got us a little gap down here at the bottom and a little gap at the top, and that'll work perfect for us trying to get this piece in there. And the main thing is, like, that's a piece of 1/2 inch Coosa, and you can see the sides, it's fitting just right because that was 1/2 inch plywood that was in there before. So it holds the steering, it's got to hold all that weight for the, you know, moving your steering back and forth, you know. And on a cable one, you're gonna have a little bit more resistance, so it needs to be a little bit stronger than I would say a hydraulic one. But anyways, we're gonna get this thing fiberglassed in, but it's not gonna be until next weekend. So, but we're gonna do it on the first layer down there. We're gonna do some 1708. We'll get us a couple of layers down there. We'll actually do 2, I think. One just glass strand, one 1708 with the woven side down, and then the stranded side up, and then we'll put our Coosa on there and just leave that to dry overnight, and then we can get us some thickened resin, go along the edges and get all that sealed up, and that way we have a nice solid piece there. So we'll get our electrical stuff cut out that side over there so we can put their switch panel in. We're trying to redo this thing, and we've been using it for the last 2 years and it's worked perfectly. So I got to cut our hole in for the steering, that hole over there, and then we're going to call it a day. But for now, if anybody needs a good used trailer, just know you're not going to find that here. So anyways, all right, we're going to get to it. Thank y'all for liking the videos. Thank you for subscribing. Anybody that hasn't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We're trying to get going. We're trying to do some cool videos. We're trying to get some stuff going because there's a lot of people that are like us. I've got a lot of experience in other things that I don't have all the boating experience for fixing and working on boats, but it's all nuts and bolts. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So we're just trying to help those people out. Hopefully everybody can get back on the water and not be spending $100 an hour using a mechanic or using somebody to work on their stuff. So if you will, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate everything everybody's doing. Thank you.